How's it going, everybody? We got a Strike Spot video that was put up on YouTube on the official Marvel Strike Force channel. I'll leave a link to that channel in the description below. They've been posting a lot more on their socials lately, particularly on Twitch doing streams and on YouTube. We've been seeing more cinematics and stuff. It's a good sign for the game. It's a lot more transparent. They promised us more transparency. They seem to be fulfilling that a little bit here. So I'm excited to see what this is going to be. Chapter 2 is coming. Let's hit it.
I don't know. The next legendary is...
That's rude. It's very rude. Way to start the video off. I already hate you guys. I'm just kidding. Let's go.
Greetings, Commanders. My name is Pathfinder, and today we're talking about the next chapter in the Age of Annihilus. We recently overhauled the way you play every day with the Age of Annihilus and the new chapter structure. Today, Marvel Strike Force General Manager Ryan Jacobson is back to discuss how things went in Chapter 1. RJ is also going to give his thoughts on some of the community's feedback and might even dish out a teaser for the updates coming to Chapter 2. Whether you're a new player or a veteran, today you'll see why there's no better time to play Marvel Strike Force. Here's Ryan Jacobson.
I got roasted in the video I put out saying that exact statement. No, I was not paid to make that video. No, I was not asked to glaze the game. That is actually how I also feel about the game right now. Go play any other mobile game. People that are playing Marvel Mystic Mayhem right now, they're experiencing this. They're hitting the end game and there's nothing to do. Right now, although I think the content needs to be ratcheted up in difficulty and there needs to be more of a reward that's worth chasing and worth putting the time into the game, they are putting things into the game. So for endgame players, like, you are getting stuff to do. Sword Salad is happening right now. Negative Zone, for all its faults, that was new content that was put out. If we only had to do that once, we'd be like, oh, this was tough, this is fun, okay. But we had to do it 40 times, that kind of ruined it, right? The new Scourges that are coming, we're seeing new nodes put in there, so we are seeing new content. And for a new player who's coming into Marvel Strike Force, you get so much more resources to play with the characters that you unlock, and you unlock characters very, very fast. And mid-game players, you're getting so much more gold and training materials than we got back in the day, that you can build up more characters, that you can catch up to making sure you're getting your raids done, that you have war roster, you have Crucible roster. It is, in my opinion, hot take. You're going to roast me again. I don't care. I'm going to say it again. Stand 10 toes down on this one, okay? Marvel Strike Force is actually in its most healthy spot right now. Absolutely. The only argument would be from the most biggest of spenders who claim they don't have enough to spend money on right now, which is wild. But okay, whatever. Do your thing, Chicken Wang.
Jacobson. Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. There's been a lot happening lately, so I'm a little tired.
In like your life or the game or a little bit of both?
I think in the game, but mainly like today.
Brother, did we just turn this into a therapy session? Pathfinder using his boss as his therapist? This is great. Perfect.
You know, we're doing all these videos. We got a stream coming up tomorrow.
It's exciting.
It just furthers the truth of the matter that, yes, Pathfinder, if you look into his eyes too long, he will hypnotize you and mind control you. Just saying, okay? Never be in the same room with Pathfinder. It's too dangerous, okay?
Times.
Yeah, it's exciting times. And speaking of exciting times, we're coming up on the end of Chapter 1 of the Age of Annihilus. So I want to ask you, first question, what do you think the team could make better for Chapter 2?
I think the first thing I want to see us kind of focus more on is kind of the overall distribution of the seasonal currency. I don't want to say intel, because intel is going to change right now, right? But I think we internally call it kind of the bag of goods. And what we've been seeing is that there's a significant portion of the player population that's leaving a lot of the seasonal currency on the table. And so we want to try and find a way to better really communicate to the players that this is the opportunity that you have to potentially really get these great rewards, right? And then give you the optionality to kind of how you want to spend that currency. But from what we've seen, the one thing I think we need to focus on is giving more of that seasonal currency out. And then I think secondly, we also know that the Quasar, we did really good in terms of players unlocking Quasar, but the Red Star distribution isn't just really where we would like it to be. So we're still kind of closely monitoring how this last Scourge is going to go. But that's something else that we're focused on right now.
Well, I wonder what that means. Does that mean not everyone got the 6 Red Stars on Quasar? I feel like if you built the characters up, the Quasar Scourge was not incredibly difficult. Like, if you built up, I guess it was those final nodes. People who didn't want to put too much effort into Thunderbolts. Interesting. Or it just wasn't. Okay, here's the problem. Maybe it just wasn't as easy as the first one, where it was just vigilante and go. You had to do other things, and you had to hit certain difficulties, and people didn't care to learn at that point. Interesting. But also, let's look at it from a different perspective as well. People also know that those red stars were going to be returning in the final Scourge. So maybe people were waiting for the final Scourge. They're like, I don't need the 6 red stars right now. I'll get the 7th red star then. That's interesting, though. See, that's a red flag for me as a player that really likes hard problems to solve, because the Scourge to me was a big dud. It was a big dud, unfortunately. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought about that last Scourge. But that's a little bit red flag for me, because they want to get the red stars to everybody. I'm down with that. I just wish, there was maybe a higher ceiling for ranked rewards and maybe some extra Gear 20 pieces. I mean, that's a good compromise. Make the red stars super easy, but give me a leaderboard where I can fight for Gear 20 or soon to be Purple ISO 4 and 5 whenever they drop that on us, right? Yeah, that seems pretty fair.
Okay. And I know that the community also had a lot of feedback on the negative zones. How is the team looking at content for Chapter 2? I know that negative zone was one of the big kind of features of Chapter 1, but I think there's been a little bit of fatigue here towards the end.
A little or a lot?
A lot.
Yeah, it depends on the player, right? No, I would say that anytime we put something new into the game, we have ideas or aspirations of how we think it's going to work versus what the reality is, right? And I would say the negative zone is a perfect example of when it first came out. As a player, I thought it was great. It was puzzly content. It took me a while to get through it.
Agreed.
But then quickly realizing I needed to do it for the next 14 days straight, I was like, oh man, this is going to be very time consuming, and I have like a job and things to do. So I think there's valuable lessons that we are always going to take away or extract from kind of the playbook that we have, because again, this is a new structure that we're going into. But I would say the negative zone, what we were trying to accomplish, giving some sort of content that is, a little bit trickier, more difficult for players to get through, that was the aspiration of it. But where I think we really fell was kind of how long and the duration and the reruns of it. And so I think those are the valuable lessons we'll pull forward, is kind of just how do we give you something probably a little bit more bite-sized that you go into, you feel good about, that's challenging, but not asking you to do it in the way that we asked you to do it in Chapter 1.
Okay.
Perfect response. He must have just pulled that right out of my brain, because it's exactly what I just said, right? It was having to do it over and over and over again that sucked. Having to do it once, even twice, was fine. And if they just did that every single time a new patch drop and they removed the nodes that came before it, I think people would have celebrated that and it would have been fine. Yeah, more difficult is fine. So what he was bringing up there, like, what can we learn and bring to Chapter 2? Look at Sword Satellite. My guys, we've had floor 60 for the last year and a half. Or maybe I'm just pulling that number up. I'm making that number up, but it feels like that because it's been so long since we've had more sword towers, more sword floors. Now I understand we want to keep the accessibility for everybody. I think you keep this sword the way it is, but you have Sword 2 run beside it, where your characters share a cooldown, but you put new characters in this new sword. Maybe you do an additional, 20, 30 floors, rock with all the new characters, rock with more creative, more difficult things. You call this the tryhard tower. You don't call it the tryhard tower, but it is the tryhard tower, right? You call it the veteran sword, veterans of sword, or something like that. And that's where it happens, because this is what we're talking about. This is talking about bite size and time, but really, really big problem solving. Like here's okay. Do you guys remember the first tower and how it's like? So this Sword Satellite, if you're a veteran player, you're just hitting all the checkboxes, and it is what it is. The first time we had the tower, not sword, tower. Do you remember how hyped it was clearing that like apocalypse floor and like that final Dormammu floor? Do you remember that? That was crazy hype. That was so much fun. There was so much buzz. There was so much involvement in the community. Now that was a brand new tower. There was like 40 new floors that were made from scratch. I understand designing maybe 40 teams every time is too much, but could you design 10? Could you design 10 difficult floors? Have the sword the way it is. Checkbox, get it, get the Gear Tier 20, have fun. Could you make a new sword that's only 10 floors? That also has maybe the same amount of rewards. Double it. What's it going to kill? An extra 5 Gear Tier 20 orbs, right? And that has that same difficulty, that same sort of like do or die, where if I lose day 1, like I can't go back in until day 2 starts. I remember that being like a huge community movement. People loved that tower. Anyway, Let me know what you guys think about that. Like, I'm always preaching, like, I want really hard content. I want really hard problem solving content. I think to his point, it is important that really hard content, because it's time consuming when you're trying to like, craft your teams for sword side. Like, it comes in bite sizes as far as time goes, like a 7-day event where you get it done, it's over. And maybe you don't put a leaderboard on that. Maybe you do 10 insanely hard floors, but there's only milestone awards for that, and then you keep kind of the ranked awards on the current tower because it's more accessible to everybody. I think that's a fine compromise. But yeah, I mean, this sword satellite was just, it was a time checkbox for a lot of veteran players. Anyway, let's continue. We're 10 minutes in this recording. We're 3 minutes in the video. That's on me. My bad.
Okay, so not necessarily looking at it from a, I'm going to run this specific campaign every single day, but maybe a shorter time frame or maybe even a different piece of content.
Yeah, or just even the rewards, right? Like as that first run went up, it was tied to leaderboards, so then you felt, again, this pressure to need to play for 14 days straight versus just how as a player can I go in and maybe there's first time rewards, second time rewards, but then I'm done, right? And so then it's also, maybe it's up for, 7 days, 10 days, whatever it is, so it's up to the player's discretion of when they want to get through that, but you don't feel that daily pressure to play that content.
Okay, and I guess, kind of a follow-up to some of the feedback that I've seen at least is, new missions come out that are more geared towards teams that aren't completely available yet. Do you think any changes coming as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think that's, again, a great, comment, which is just sometimes what we're thinking in our heads and then the execution falls a little bit flat. We'd love for you to kind of already have the kind of content ready to go, right? Or the characters and the teams ready to go for that content that is coming out. But yeah, we need to do a better job of ensuring that when we're asking you to do a thing, those characters or that team is already kind of available to you as a player.
Okay, so
that, I think that was in comment to like Negative Zone right now, right? I beat the current Negative Zone, those arena nodes, once already. I didn't even start my second run because those arena nodes, it was fun to problem solve. Like, it took me 4 days to get through it. When all was said and done, I did a couple burn attacks. I had to play with my team. I didn't have the solution team that just one shots everything, and I had fun doing it. I don't want to do it again. Once we have more Fantastic Four members, maybe I'll go back in and do it. This one runs for 21 days. You only had to clear it twice. There is no node reward. So I think that they kind of adopted for the current Negative Zone what he just said. But I think there's so much negative sentiment over what the Negative Zone was in Chapter 1 that everyone just wrote it off. And I still think you erase some of those nodes. I think you erase at least the first 8 nodes. The Crucible nodes are still kind of fresh. Like, if we're not beating them with our entire roster, we have to use our Herald teams. That is still kind of okay to do that. But having it be 16 nodes, I think, is a really daunting task for a lot of people. But they did, at least in this last Negative Zone, learn a little bit. They just got to follow up and, dot those I's, cross those T's, finish that learning process up and make it the better form.
Chapter 1 is obviously finishing very soon. So I think, another question would be, what's one of the bigger changes that going from Chapter 1 to Chapter 2?
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to monitor and look at the data for the red stars, like I talked about a little bit ago. If that's not where we want it to be, because we of course have goals set for these things, then we probably will make some adjustments and pivots in terms of the way that we're going to distribute the red stars for the next legendary, because we definitely want our players to walk away with a fully powered up legendary, and that's yellow stars and red stars. So this last scourge will be really telling in terms of does it actually achieve those goals or not, and if not, then we will be making some changes to the way that we distribute the red stars.
Okay, and I think.
See, and that's really important. I don't know, they're probably not gonna talk about it here, but for newer players coming in, and for mid-game players, if you're not getting those red stars for Quasar now, and then he's gonna cause DPCs to get it down the line, that becomes just another barrier of entry to other characters that maybe they want to rework in the future. Maybe they want to eventually rework Red Hulk and Rogue to really big name characters. But players don't have the DPCs for it, so it becomes that's a barrier of entry to this team, kind of a problem, right? So maybe they can fix that. I guess they could also just do an event that gives those kind of Horsemen or Mephisto legendary characters. They could just give those red stars away as well. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I mean, listen, the tinfoil hat part of me again got optimistic for a second. It's oh, here, take the red stars out of the Scourge, still do the Scourge, make it more competitive, make it more hard. Because if you're not relying on people getting the red stars from there, you're just giving them away elsewhere. Kind of interesting, right? Maybe give the red stars away in Danger Room. That'd be kind of cool.
I think another question on maybe more new to mid-game players' minds. How are we going to be addressing the kind of disparity between the amount of shop credits like new players have versus older players? I know that's been a topic that keeps coming up that I wanted to get your take on.
Yeah, we rushed a lot of things out, right? And we knew that shop credits was one of those things that we knew we'd have to revisit. It wasn't that we didn't have the foresight to kind of understand that we were creating something there that we need to go back and fix. There's a lot of things that we want to adjust and change, and I would say that right now there's some plans in the works that we hope to get out really shortly, because we do know that newer players or a reactivated player or someone who's mid-funnel, like you kind of described, we don't want them spending the seasonal currency on shop, you know, going back and getting a whole bunch of older gear, or what we kind of call kitchen sink resources. We want them to be buying the latest and greatest things. So we are coming up with some strategies right now to combat that. But I would say probably sometime in chapter 2, but we know it's something that we're going to address, and we do have some plans on how we're going to address that.
And I think this.
So there's two big problems with just giving infinite shop credits, right? It's the gold and the blitz orb, and it's the character shards. Because if you just give away infinite shop credits, I can just buy infinite character shards. They could turn into infinite ultimate shards. And then whenever a character enters that, what do we just call it? The phase where they go into all the orbs? Whenever they enter that, I can just open infinite ultimate orbs and have it at 7 stars. That's what I just did with the Vigilante team, right? But because I don't have the infinite shop credits, I can't really do that again. So I understand where they're coming from, and they probably just need to get rid of some of those older orbs and just like commit to having that little trickle that you're supposed to get from those into different places. But yeah, I Bumps, thank you, Bumps. I 100% agree that nobody should be using their seasonal currency, currently Intel, on shop credits. Like, the shop store for me, it's supposed to be another catch-up mechanic, right? Like, you're supposed to, all the characters that are in the raid store, or when the characters enter the store, the arena store, whatever the case may be, I feel like as a new player or a mid-game player, you should just be able to farm them every single time you see them. Get them maxed out as soon as you see them. And then, like, the extra gold, the trading materials you build, and all of a sudden you can start building up these teams. Maybe you could build up an Underworld who's like a really old team, but they got the new Taskmaster. You get to kind of play around with them at your level of war. But that's only possible if you can spam buy things from the shop store. It's going to become the shop store eventually, right? Which is only possible if you get that shop currency under better management. So it's good that they're keeping an eye on that for sure.
This kind of goes well with that, conversation as well. There is going to be a small update with some of the additional currencies that we have, right? So do you want to share a little bit about the V2 of what's going to be consolidated in Chapter 2?
Yeah, I think we're still debating on, what we feel comfortable consolidating and or not. There potentially would be Battle World currency that might be consolidated. It might not. We have to think more of the kind of long-term ramifications if we pull it in, right? Because say again, like Battle World as an example, and that currency, if we consolidate and we put it into a seasonal currency, now are you spending your seasonal currency to potentially unlock null shards when eventually null shards hit that shop? We wouldn't want to necessarily make it into a legacy currency. So we're still having debates right now internally if we feel comfortable making some of those calls, because I do think that we need to be thinking a lot further out in terms of if we make a decision right here, right now, what does that do to the long-term impact of that mode? And so I would say Battle World's one of the currencies that we're playing around with. Do we want to consolidate that? But right now I would say it's still kind of TBD, where I think there's pros and cons, and right now we haven't aligned on kind of what we want to do with it.
Yeah, and I know.
See, that's interesting. So the Battle World store, I think I would actually hate to see it get just thrown into shop currency, which it sounds like they're very hesitant to do that, which is good. The Battle World store came in hot. People really liked it because we were getting these new characters thrown there a little bit faster. At the time, there was a bigger demand for these crystals, right? Like people, even myself, now I'm up to 1 million. But we were getting through this. I mean, the answer is pretty simple, right? The answer is, in my opinion, and I could be totally wrong here, you got to put a forever currency in here, or a currency that helps us with overpowered. And you do that as soon as you've brought in the new system, right? Because they always have the new system is needed to unlock the newest mystical character. That's going to be ISO purple 4 and 5. I'm not saying put purple 4 and 5 in here. I'm saying you put gear tier 20 materials in here. Maybe not a lot. Maybe you put like 1/5 of what is normally in this store. But then when I go to the Battle World store, like, I'm ready to get it. Yes, you also put training materials in here. You also put gold in here. You let people have those, what I call the infinite resources, or the second newest thing to help people build up the overpowered stuff, and you go like that. Buy to help overpower, that'll be purple 4 and 5, right, Ceci? So what I'm not saying like, oh, just take all the advantage away that overpowered gave the spenders, because I think that is doing exactly what they wanted it to do for those players, which it is what it is. I'm not happy about it. You're not happy about it. Ceci's happy about it. No one else is happy about it, okay? But I think with this store, you definitely don't make it some sort of legacy currency. Like, you don't wrap it in with the arena blitz and all that store. This store still has promise. You get these characters in here faster. You kind of make it like your seasonal store light, where if the new seasonal store is going to have the newest of new characters and the diamonds for those characters and awakened abilities and the newest of the new character shards with purple 4 and 5 in here, well, then you make the Battle World store, which we don't get run all the time, right? You have it, what's the 4th team that was released here? So if this is Accursed, and then it was Thunderbolts, and I guess the last one's supposed to be Vigilante because I haven't unlocked, it's not there. So like Starjammer should have been here already. Liberty is in here. Vigilante is actually already in here. So they're kind of already doing that, right? They're kind of already doing that. Put the forever currencies in here and away we go, in my opinion. And add Gear Tier 20 to it as soon as purple 4 and 5 are in the game. I think that's how I would handle it anyway. And maybe manage that currency better. Have the costs needed for the things be comparable with the amount of resources we're getting from doing the mode. Because that stockpile high fast. Really fast. Though, if I didn't do the whole Ultimus thing to get the Vigilante team maxed out, I would still be farming them from the Battle World store right now. So something to be considered there.
That sometime during Chapter 2, there's going to be revamps to kind of the UI in the command center, and hopefully also the legacy shop coming in and actually being that shop. Those are also happening relatively soon.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we talked about this a long time ago, right? And so I think the player expectation was day one, whereas this kind of legacy shop. These things take time for us to build, and I think it's also, we want to be really thoughtful and kind of the intentionality that we're putting behind these shops, and how do we make it great from the user standpoint and the experience, because there's a lot in the existing shops, and so trying to just consolidate that all down into one shop. We don't want you scrolling for forever, so how do we build better containers for, say, a team, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot that we're looking into there. As you already kind of touched on with Command Center, we did kind of a small UX update, and we saw a significant uptick in players actually being activated and going into the Command Center. So we still know that there's a lot of players that have this kind of habituation over the 7 years of playing this game, that they're not necessarily going into the new thing the way that we would expect them to. So we're going to continue to monitor and look at where we want to make those improvements. But yeah, I would say, I'm very passionate about us getting the kind of legacy shop out as quickly as possible, but I also think that it needs to be done in a very kind of way that's very player friendly for the existing player base, and as well as newer players coming in, so that they kind of know what this shop looks like and what it should feel like.
Okay.
Yeah, so when it comes to this legacy store, I don't think anybody who has, access to infinite supplies right now, or infinite shop credits right now, and has access to all the stores in their entirety right now, I don't think you're going to have, because what would that be? That'd be like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lines of things that you could buy in this legacy store, the supply store is what they're going to call it. I don't think it's going to come in that sort of a form, which is interesting, right? So I understand that it's going to take time to make sure it's at least, the most clearly understandable as possible for new players and veteran players. It's kind of weird, but he said something earlier that actually resonated better with me, which is that we rushed it out. He said we rushed it out. We knew there was going to be problems, and we're going to fix those problems after the fact. I actually like that, because when you rush things out faster, you are forced to action on it faster, the fixes, right? I think that's just true. Like, when you force it out, you force your evolution. And I think that they did that really big with the store stuff and with the Intel stuff, and they've adapted on it, they've learned on it a little bit. I think there's still got a lot of ways to go for sure, but when it's out there, you have to address it, rather than if you just leave it and let it fester. Well, that's what happened with the stores the first time.
Okay. Well, before we go on, don't forget to like the video and hit the bell and subscribe. What was your favorite thing about Chapter 1, and what is something that the game team should be aware of to work on for future chapters? We would love to know in the comments. So RJ, I was originally going to ask what your Danger Room high score was, but let's go with something else instead. What's something that you promised you wouldn't spoil today, but we all know you're going to because you're the boss and...
Brother, last strike spot, what did this guy say? He was like, I was told not to spoil anything. Oh, right, web playable, by the way. Brother, this guy is the spoil king. Let him cook.
You can do whatever you want. So, got any spoilers for us today?
Danger Room, though, that would have been a good one. So I actually have to go back and think of like what was my high score. I would say my favorite mod, though, would be Barrel of Monkeys. Like, that one was awesome. So I again, applaud the team on kind of all of the Easter eggs that they've put in it so far. I can't wait to see what we do with that mode in the future. I don't know. The next legendary is Blastar. I don't know if that's a spoiler.
That is indeed a spoiler.
We have a whole bunch of...
Okay, listen, hear me out. Here. Is it a spoiler, though? You guys put a silhouette out with a lion's mane. Do you know how many characters have a full-ass lion's mane? Cool character, though. I'm excited. I'm very excited about Blastar. I wonder what mode he's going to be part of. That's going to be the cool thing. But there you go. Confirmed. Blastar confirmed. Let's go.
Spider-Man villains coming into the game.
Whoa. What did he just say? Wait. Shut up, Dorky. What did he just say?
What we do with that mode in the future. I don't know. The next legendary is Blastar. I don't know if that's a spoiler.
That is indeed a spoiler.
We have a whole bunch of Spider-Man villains coming into the game. I know there's a
whole bunch of Spider-Man villains? Are we finally getting Scorpion, Sandman, the Chameleon, Superior 6 2.0? Let's go. Okay. That's so cool. All right, everyone who was worried about Dark Dimension 8 City Villain, hold tight. Here we go.
a player or someone who's constantly on YouTube and Instagram demanding Sandman. I'm going to just state right now it's not Sandman, so sorry, apologies. We don't know how.
Hot take, I fucking hate Sandman. I don't care. Yeah, Hobgoblin. That's where it's at. Yeah. Sandman kick rocks. I don't care about Sandman.
How to get that character into the game just because of the complexity around that character. We would love to see him in the game, but I would say there's some really cool Spider-Man villains that have yet to hit the game, and so those will also be coming out sometime in the near future. One of them, I think, is one of the most iconic kind of Marvel covers, in my opinion, and so I can't wait till that character gets into the game. And there's one that's really complex in terms of like, wait, why is this guy a Spider-Man? Is he not a Spider-Man? He's a villain. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff that I think the characters in
He's doppelganger coming to the game. I'm just trying to think of like iconic covers. There's a doppelganger cover that hits kind of hard. I mean, there's a lot of covers that hit kind of hard. Superior Spider-Man. Oh, we could see Superior Spider-Man. Yeah, that's an iconic one. Ooh. My spidey senses are tingling. It's excitement time. Let's go. Yeah, Scorpion. We need Scorpion. Come on.
Combat team is working on. I know Matt loves when I spoil everything, so yeah, I definitely think I'm super excited about the next legendary, Blastar, and he's coming in the game real soon.
Yeah, Matt told me himself that he loves it when you spoil things early.
We should spoil more then, right? Like we should just
so.
have like a session where it's just spoilers.
Oh, we could make a whole strike spot about that.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Perfect. Well, I'll ask one bonus question, and I didn't even put this on the sheet that I gave you. So, what's your most anticipated thing in Chapter 2 that we're going to be doing?
With Chapter 2, man, there's a lot of things there because there's so many features that are going to start to come into Chapter 2. There's a lot of improvements that we just talked about, like the shop stuff that we hope to get in as soon as possible. But for me, as a player who tries to really communicate as much as humanly possible inside the game and outside of the game, Discord's one of the things that I really am looking forward to kind of getting into the game, just because I think it's such a powerful tool that I think a lot of us use even in our normal day-to-day lives. Yeah. So having it in the game and then giving a lot of those really alliance leaders or war captains more tools at their disposal that's in client versus going outside of the client, I think is a massive win for us. And then I think there's, a slew of kind of quality of life improvements that are going to go into the game that I think should hopefully get players really excited. So I think there's a ton of stuff, and then I think, again, we're going to continually learn from how we better operate this structure moving forward. And so I also look for all those learnings and kind of what we pull forward and how do we constantly iterate to make this game better.
Okay. Wrapping things up today, thanks for joining us. Talk about Chapter 2. It's always appreciated, and I know that the community appreciates it too.
Thanks for having me. Always love to be here. Always a good time.
Yeah, well, after learning about the changes we're making, what are you most excited for in Chapter 2? And if you made it this far into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and join us on Discord.
Where's my promo
Link will
code?
be in the description. Would love to chat with you over there. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Strike Spot.
40 seconds left. Something else is coming, dude. 40 seconds left. Something's coming.
Greetings, Commanders. My name is Pathfinder, and today we're talking about the next stage in the I already messed up. Talking about the next stage in the next stage. Any, Oh, okay. There's a plane. Whether you're a new player or a veteran today, you'll see why there's no better time to play Marvel Strike Force.
All right. No, Asman. No, thank you. All right. That was good. That was great. I really enjoyed that. And lack of promo code, that's going to get me. But, lack of promo code's going to get me. But those shades are crazy. Were those Asgardian shades? Was that an Angela tip? That was great. That was a good spot. Listen, I was thinking there at the end, what would the hype level around the game be right now? Live stream took the code? Fair enough. What would the hype level of the game be right now? And don't get me wrong, Annihilus, he's a really cool villain, but he's niche. Blastar, he's got a lion's mane. That's cool, but he's niche. Quasar, niche. Whatever the next character is going to be, we're kind of on this niche sort of cosmic route right now with our age, right? What would the hype level around the game be right now if we had this team right now working on videos, working on promo codes, working on all kinds of trivia and everything, if it was during the age of apocalypse? I'm just saying, the next age, boys, we got to pick a very, very common, hyped, awesome character to be our big bad, our big building too, that has a lot of characters connected that are super well known. And I think I know who it should be. It should be Onslaught. There's a lot of cool Brotherhood characters we could build into the game. There's a lot of cool X-Men you could build into the game. Galactus could be another one. I mean, we already have Silver Surfer, though, so that'd be kind of rough, right? You want Silver Surfer to be a legendary character? Can't do that. No. I think Onslaught would be the right answer. Personally. Dorking confirms players get to vote for next stage. I'm just saying, listen, that's going to be it for this video. I'm sorry. This was a 14-minute video that ended up being a 30-minute react. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about everything that they said. It sounds like they're on the right track. They got to stick to landing on all this sort of quality of life and the shop stuff they talked about here. I think they need to deliver a little bit more on the difficulty of the PvE content. You know, pouring the PvE content is great. The negative zone, I think, if it was just run 2 times for each of the node sections, would have been great. Scourges, kind of missing the mark on me for that right now. When we have these flash events like Sword Satellite, I need a hard version. I don't even need that many more rewards. I need some rewards, because no one's going to watch the videos if there's no rewards for it, right? But I need something a little bit more difficult. And then I think we're off to the races. Yeah. I think PvE could carry this game. PvP has been carrying this game for the last 6 years. Let's give PvE a chance. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you later. Let me know your thoughts. Goodbye.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.